tell you, speaking of even less brilliance is President Obama. I want to get back to education funding, this race to the top money. Ooh. The $4.5 billion of China's money that states are competing for, supposedly, in the Department of Education, which I think ought to be thrown into the Potomac River. The first round of money came out for this. 40 states plus the District of Columbia applied for this money. They had to have some sort of plan, some sort of game plan with the cash coming from the feds. And yet, the first round of money was announced a couple of weeks ago, and only 2 states got the money. Remember, this is the education. Of course, the liberals is always a crisis. And only 2 states got funding. Tennessee and Delaware are the only 2 states that got funding. And what makes this really a problem, my friends, is the reason behind it. Now, the administration first talked about these states are supposedly going to create databases to evaluate teachers on a merit basis. They have this plan to turn around these failing rural schools or declining enrollment or whatever. Well, most of the finalists for the money had that. Louisiana had that. Florida had that. I don't know if Minnesota was a finalist or not. But Tennessee and Delaware had 2 things the other states did not have when it came to race for the top money. They had union backing. Now, I argue that ought to be a detriment. You want to reform education, the unions are what stand in the way. The educational establishment, the education mafia, Tom Dewar, the embarrassment of Minnesota, that's what stands in the way of education reform. They don't want education reform. They want status quo, more money, more money, more money, more money. Endless sustainable funding. I mean, who the hell gets that? You get that at your job? Huh? I mean, it's ridiculous. However, since these 2 states, I mean, what is the message, Mr. President, Mr. Change we can believe in, and Arne Duncan, our big, big thinker of an education secretary? Tennessee and Delaware, by the way, also have 2 of the weakest charter school laws. Charter schools, which, by the way, enrollment in charter schools in Minnesota is up 138% since 2003. And of course, DFL is trying to, of course, scale that back. Don't want too much success. I mean, we're constantly told by the left that education is about the children. It's about the children. It's all about, loving them. And if you don't want to raise your taxes, well, you don't care. You're just heartless. You're just criminal. You're just, all you care about is your tax cut. Well, all the Democrats care about is their union thug cronies. That's the only thing they care about when it comes to education. And President Obama just proved it with this $600 million, and I would argue ransom money. That he's basically telling states, you are going to get punished unless the unions sign off on whatever you want to do. If you have a plan that is so good, so reform-minded, that the unions don't back it, you don't get the money. I mean, ridiculous. That is despicable, Mr. President.